Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games back with another cool pinball repair video for you this evening. This is a 1962 Williams World Series pitch and bat machine. It's not really a pinball machine, although it does have little balls in it. There's no pins. It's a ball machine. Pitch and bat baseball machine, right? We've been working on this. This is one of the ones that was actually in the Surfside arcade down at Myrtle Beach. So if you ever went down there and played these, you may have played this actual machine. That's why the paint job's a little weird. So we got this in, and we're fixing it for a gentleman. We did a video before just showing the condition that it's in, what time has done to this poor thing, what operating for almost 50 years has wrought on this great piece of Williams electromechanical history, and this is what's left. So we're going to fix it for the guy. It's not too bad, but they had some modifications that they did to keep it in service all those years. So we'll run into that, but the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to start working down in the bottom of it, just like we do most pinball machines. Whenever we work on them, we basically just start at the wall and work through the power. Okay? And some stuff has been cut on it, some stuff has been removed, but I don't believe it's absolutely necessary stuff for what we're doing. So we'll look into that, but we need to get down into the bottom of the game and work on it a little bit. So I'm going to remove this playfield and go put it with the other one. I actually have a parts playfield as well. So we'll go put that up, and then we'll be able to get down in the coffin, the cabinet here, and work on that mechanism board. So let me pull that out. It simply unplugs with one connector. I think I actually unplugged it already. And that'll clear up some space for us. Okay, so just like we do on a regular pinball machine, we'll pull this mechanism board up out of it. It looks like it's not too hard to do because it unplugs. So there's a Jones plug here, and a Jones plug here, and a Jones plug back there, and a power cord we got to worry about. And then I can set the thing up here on the top, and I can run a vacuum through it and clean up some of that good old Carolina beach dust out of it. So let me pop that up. Now there's usually a couple screws that hold it in place, but it looks like they've been removed. So the thing's just sitting in there. Okay, folks, there was a little bit of sand back in there. I vacuumed all that out. There is one of the bells or something is missing, maybe the knocker. But the wiring down there, there is an extra wire that's cut that it looks like ran over to the other side of that bell. So I would imagine there was two bells and a knocker. Maybe they took the knocker out. They modified it several different ways just because they were operating it at the beach, and I guess they wanted them all to play a certain way. So here is the mech board, and here is some of the modifications. At some point they must have changed out the transformer, so they have respliced the wires. This unit is missing. I looked at pictures online. It's some kind of stepper unit, but there was a feature in this that I think they felt like they didn't need. So where it says World Series there, I believe there was a feature that held over from game to game where that would light up sequentially, and then once they all lit up, you won a free game. So they probably took that out just because they didn't want that to be how it was at the beach. These were all arranged in a line, and it was basically if you got 25 runs, you got a free teddy bear. And so, but there's another unit back here that's missing as well. Now I have a parts mech board that those same two things are missing on. So I think what was going on was that's some kind of feature that they were removing from the game because they didn't want the game to do that. So, but we'll find out as we go along. I've got the schematics ordered. I just don't have them in yet. So I need to get the schematics and look through them and see what in the world those even were. Manual high score reset. I guess you hit that runs through. So that's another thing on the back glass. One of the high score reels is missing, and the other one is in there. But you know, it looks like that they didn't want you looking at that. They wanted you just looking at that, so they removed those or blocked them off because they were having problems where people would come up and say, "Hey, I want a teddy bear," because they were reading the wrong score. Okay, so. Yeah. So I vacuumed it up a little bit, got rid of some of the stuff. Now what we're going to do is go through and just start cleaning relays like we usually do. Just lots of switches. So basically you just have to use a little file to clean in between the contacts. And the switches should connect that way and then that way. See, I just pulled that out to hold in, and that one is still held. So it shouldn't be like that. It should be open. So the very first one I looked at was messed up. Right? It doesn't quite open as much as it should. That one is, but just barely. See it? So that's what we're looking at. I think we got some issues, folks. So I'm going to work through them. If I run into anything obvious, I will show it to you. All right, folks, the train is coming, by the way. So here is the lock relay. You know those often get a little toasty. It looks not too bad. Here is the index relay. It's been replaced, the actual coil, at some point. And here's the Grand Slam relay. Got to have that one working. It looks pretty good. But all of our other labels are missing, unfortunately. And get this, they didn't make a manual for this game. They made schematics, so we're going to have to figure out what each relay actually is whenever we fix it. Now, it shouldn't be too bad, but all of these latching relays, you know, that latch and trip the other way, all seem to be fine. Everything looks pretty good. It's all dirty, of course. And then we've got a lot of Williams big old swinging relays over here. They have these long blades and have a good throw to them. So I've adjusted and cleaned all of them. And everything looks good. So the relays don't seem to be a problem. Obviously the two missing stepper units are going to be a problem. So next up, I'm going to work on this score motor, which is different than most of their score motors because it has 6 positions. Usually they only have 5. So same thing, you know. You just need to get it so that when it turns, when it falls down in the little valleys, it changes position. I'll work through it a little bit and see what I run into. I don't know which way it turns. I hope she turns. Boy, I may be going the wrong way. I don't think I am. Let me mess with it a little bit. Let's see what's going on. Okay, folks, so the first thing I did was I took the screw loose here. And then there's a screw here and a screw here that hold it down, and then you can lift it up if you want to. You can see that there's a little pin that goes inside there that allows it to pivot. Let's see if we can put it back. Bum, bum, bum. Alright, so it should be about like that, which allows it to pivot. Okay, and I oiled the gears and the motor. What's going on is somebody sprayed WD-40 or something similar all over it. So it was gummed up a little bit. But it is turning freely like it should now. And remember, I'm turning it by hand, so it will be easier to turn it when the motor and the gears are actually doing it. But look at this over here. This is kind of interesting. This switch stack. So the way these work, if you haven't watched them, I always do all my videos for like the beginners because I feel like I'm a beginner. But this is how it should work. So when this cam turns, that's a tough one there. It's hard to get out of that divot. I'll show you why here in a second. Most of them don't have these rollers, but basically whenever this little divot gets here, it's going to change the position of these switches. So see how this one is open and this one is open? So when you get to that point, both of those switches close. So now, see how they're both connected? See how they're both moving? So they have touched and those switches have now connected. Okay, so the whole point of a score motor is to animate things. So it's to like give energy to the computer that this basically is. It's so hard to explain how these things work, but basically this thing times things. So if you score on a pinball machine, for instance, if you score 50 points, well, it can't just turn on the 50-point relay and it gives you 50 points, because the reels are in 10-point increments. So it needs to turn on that relay, or the 10-point relay, 5 times. Well, how is it going to turn it on and off, on and off, on and off, on and off, on and off? Like, what kind of object can do that? Well, a motor can do that. They can turn a motor on, and as soon as it starts turning, it closes the switch or whatever, and then this little cam on the bottom here, that bottom one, the impulse cam, see how it has little notches on it? You could have that cam have 5 little bumps on it, and so as it turns around, when it hits those bumps, the switches connect 5 times, and then it gets back to where it started, the switch opens, and the thing turns off. So it's a way to make action happen, to make energy happen, right? So that it's not just a passive thing. It's the early version of a computer. Very cool. So anyway, that's how those should work. But look at this. Look at this whole side here. I'm trying to see if it's bent or something. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, okay. So this is the type of stuff that you're looking for. So as this turns, see, this is going around all of them. And remember, there's 3 levels. So it's doing it. This is a good example. There's 1 level on the top cam. There's the 2nd level on the middle cam. There's the 3rd level on the bottom cam. So there's little notches in different places, strategically timed to make certain switches open before others and all that. It's very, I hate to say complex, but it does have a lot going on. Okay, now look when we get over here. Now look at the state of these switches. That one's closed. This one's open. This one's open. This one's closed. Okay. Now here we are when we drop in the little hole. The cam moved, but everything's still exactly how it was. That one's still closed, and it never connected with this one, even though it's all the way down. This one's still open when it should have closed. This one's still open. So the whole point is, this one little concept right here can help you fix any EM machine. This is the crux of the whole thing. The only reason, and now I don't have the schematics yet. You know, I don't know anything about this machine. But the only reason that they would put all of those switches on this cam, I'm going to give you some real knowledge here, right? The only reason you would put a switch somewhere is so that it could switch. It's the whole point of it. So if it's always on or it's always off, something ain't right. It's supposed to switch. I don't even know what the hell it does. It doesn't matter, does it? If it's on, it should go off. If it's off, it should go on. So it don't even matter what the switch is. You don't even need to know what the switch is until you're trying to troubleshoot it. You just need to know that that ain't right. There ain't no way that's right. Now, it looks to me like the switch stack is bent. So if you look at this, see we're perpendicular to the plane there, right? So it's got to stick up at the 90 degree. Where's our next one? Yeah, that one. Right? So there's a good example. It's perpendicular. And here's another one. It's perpendicular. And then when we get over to this one, it's bent. That would do it, wouldn't it? Basically, it's bent too far in. So it can't, the switches themselves can't go any farther in because the whole back is in. So I need to bend this straight to get it, you can kind of tell by that too. So that's on a slope, should be level. So I need to bend this back a little bit to bend those switches back out so that they can work properly. Alright, so that's a lot better. I think it's about right. Maybe we could use a little more, but it's about right. Now, how did that happen? Well, you saw a second ago when the thing just flopped around. That didn't do it because I already noticed this before I started showing you the video. But the stuff like that did it. So somebody else did that, or I did it yesterday, you know. So stuff just gets bent, especially in the bottom of a machine. A lot of times they'll store parts in there, so somebody might have thrown something in there and it hit it and bent it or whatever. They were reaching in trying to grab something and it got snagged on it and pulled it. Something happened. Okay, so let's analyze it now. All I did was bend it. So now that we're down in the valley, you see that the top one is now open and it is connected to the switch under it like it should. That one's now closed, and open. And so if I just, with my hand, simulate it rising up to the top of that, it's now swapped to the top switch, the make or break switch. It's opening that switch. It's opening that switch. And it's closing that switch. So is that what it's supposed to do? Well, yeah, it should, right? It should be open one way and closed the other way. I don't know if when that one's supposed to be open or closed, but you can tell. It has to be open one way and closed the other way. And you don't have to reinvent the wheel because they already figured it out. You just need to know that everything that's closed should open, everything that's open should close. Now, I keep beating this dead horse because that's literally it. That's all you need to know to fix any of them. That's the whole thing. I was talking to some customers that picked up a game yesterday, and they were asking me about when we got our first machines and how we learned to do it. And I was telling them that the first EM pinball machine I got, I couldn't fix. I couldn't figure it out. And I had it in my living room for like a year or something like that. I never could figure it out. And then I got another one and I kind of figured it out. But I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just doing what other people told me to do. And then after about 2 years of messing with them, it clicked and I got the on-off thing. Once you understand that if there's a switch, it should be on or off and then it should change, that's all you need to know. Everything else makes sense after that. So that will fix 95% of your problems. Now, is this one perfect? Let's see. Not really, because look at that. There's no tension on this, so it's not really falling down in there like it should. It's just falling down a little bit, right? So this one is up on the cam. Let's find another. Let's throw that one down in there. Okay. See, it's bottomed out. That's how this one should be. When it goes down in that valley, it should go all the way to the bottom. So we need to carefully bend those so that they're falling down into that little dip, right? So I'll adjust it a little more and keep working it, but that's basically what we're looking at and what we're doing. And I'm trying to clean it up a little bit as I go. I oiled the motor with 3-in-1 oil. 3-in-1 oil is also a really good cleaner. I mean, if you get a little 3-in-1 oil on a rag, it cleans. And if you don't believe me, just ask the people at 3-in-1 oil. Okay, so I cleaned the rest of them, and I want to show you something. You may have seen earlier, whenever I was turning it, it was like binding and kind of catching. That was because that one was so bent down into the thing, so it was giving us a lot of resistance. So now when I turn it, it's much more smooth, much more balanced. You saw it just go through that area. So I'm more confident that the motor is going to be able to turn without any problems and getting into any issues. Okay, so I'm going to bolt that back down, and then we're going to look at this stepper unit back here. And then, are you ready? Are you ready? We're going to figure out the missing steppers, the mystery of the missing steppers. I've been researching it, people, and I think I may have figured it out. Okay, so let me screw this back together, and then we'll check out this stepper back here. Okay, so we have a little stepper unit here, similar to what's in a pinball machine, a Williams pinball machine, of course. And there are 2 coils, which usually means that it can move the stepper 2 different ways, right? It can move it one way and then back the other way. Matter of fact, that always means that. Now, if you look, it's a reset. So look what happens. It's as this pulls in, this little lever here slides back and engages underneath one of the teeth of the ratchet. And then whenever the coil lets go, these springs here pull it back forward and push the ratchet up. Usually, these are all gummed up. This one is not. But here's the interesting thing about this one. See that little flat spot? That's supposed to be like that. They're doing that so that it only moves 3 positions. So this is 1 position, 2nd position, 3rd position, 4th position, and it can't go any farther. Okay? And so when this one pulls in, it's going to lift this one, which is engaged in the wheel and making it so that it doesn't go backwards. Right? So when it lifts up, there is a little, it's hard to see it, but see how it curves? See that little bar back there? When that one lifts up, it also lifts this one. And this spring allows this gear to travel back, so I can, well, I shouldn't have went that far. Oh, I hate when I get my switchblade on the wrong side of it. Okay, so that allows that to swing back, right? I was going to turn it way up and just show you how the spring works, but okay. So now after this one is reset, it's like that, and you're in this weird position where both of the things are not engaged, just because of the nature of how it works, right? But as soon as this pulls in, they'll fall down into place, and it'll push it 1 tooth. Now, we don't have labels on these, and they didn't make a manual. The manual is where it shows you where everything goes. Okay, so this is a stepper unit, and if you look at the base of it, see the little leg, and there's a leg there. So this same exact type of unit was mounted right here as well. And it's gone. Right? So here are, see these black wires, how they double up? Well, if you look, those run to all kinds of stuff. They're what are running all the coils. So that was going to a coil, and then this was the control line to turn on and off the coil, like any of these other ones are. So black line and then a control line. Right? So there was a coil there, and it appears there was a coil here as well. So that would be that one and that one. So this exact type of unit was right here. Okay, so which one is that? What are we missing? I don't have the manual. They didn't even make a manual. Well, we're going to have to figure it out. And then looky here. I'll be damned if that don't look like another one, right? Now, this one's a little different. It looks like it only had 1 coil. Right? So it didn't reset. So this one was like that, except it would just keep moving in one direction all the way around and keep going and keep going and keep going and keep going and keep going. And it had no way to reset. So it would move and move and move, and I guess it moves this way. Move and move and move and move and move and move. And just keep doing that every time this coil would have fired. And then these wires here, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wires. Right? So, I mean, who knows? I don't know what that is. You can see there's a few wires here. Look, there's 6 wires there. Right? So that's what we're trying to figure out. Now, if you look, I call these Bakelite boards. Everybody keeps correcting me. I'm calling it Bakelite like I call a Pepsi a Coke, right? A Coke is just a soft drink. It's a board that's very similar to Bakelite, but apparently not quite Bakelite. So everybody keeps telling me, oh, no, it's not Bakelite. And they're doing it in a very nice way. I'm not criticizing them. They're saying, oh, no, that's not Bakelite. It's a product that's about the same as Bakelite, except it doesn't have formaldehyde in it, and it's 3 words long. So you should call it that. I'm just going to keep calling it Bakelite, okay? So this Bakelite board, Bakelite-like board, you see all these little holes in it. That's so they can put rivets in it, like these. Okay, you can actually see some down at the bottom there. Look, they have a few little rivets mounted there. And that's so that whenever that gear on the other side turns, this thing turns. And it moves this little doohickey here that is broke, I might add. I think it moves this little doohickey here to a different rivet. Okay, and then up here you see it's doing the same thing, but there's just a few rivets, so none of these are installed because remember, it only moves 3 steps. That thing actually seems to be working right, except the problem is it's not going to do anything. Like, nothing's connected. All they're doing is a piece of metal's touching a piece of metal. There's no wire on this piece of metal that I can see, unless there's one on the bottom. Is there something in there? Maybe. So it's not going to do anything. Are those two joined together? I'm going to break out the multimeter. But this one down here, look at it. It's not touched. It's not connected to anything. Doesn't seem to be, at least. So I don't know. It may just be that these two jumped together, but there ought to be something that connects to that one. This looks like a wire, but it's not. It's just the string that ties up the loom. So we're missing something. So I've got to find a picture of this one to figure out what in the world's going on. But I think I figured out what it is. It has 4 positions. So this is your starting position. I think it's the... Are you ready for it? It's the out unit, I think. This is no outs. 1 out. 2 outs. 3 outs, you out. What else would have 4 positions in baseball? That's what I think. So I found some pieces of the schematics. Let's look at it and see if we can figure out what the other 2 must be that are missing. If you didn't see our previous video, shame on you. But if you didn't, this pitch and bat pinball machine was originally at the Myrtle Beach Pavilion. And there's a thing down there. I don't know how often they did this at other beach pavilions, but there was a thing down there for years where they had these things lined up all in a big row that you could play down there. And I can't tell you how many people I've had say, hey, can you get one of those pitch and bats like at the beach? I used to play that when I was a kid. They're talking about these actual machines in this actual picture. We got this picture from pinrepair.com. Clay's great site. Go check that out if you haven't. We learned about everything we know from Clay, just reading his site. So thank you, Clay. We got this picture from there. This is a picture, it looks to me like taken in the early 2000s maybe, at the Myrtle Beach Pavilion. Now above it, it says 22 runs wins choice. And we talked about it on the previous video, but if you look, they built a custom rack for this thing. So there's all these different machines. These are full-size machines like the one we're working on. As a matter of fact, one of these is the one we're working on. They built this pedestal here, and then they got rid of the legs for the machines, and they filled in the leg holes with dowel rods and Bondo, and then repainted the front and the side of the cabinet. But the secret is on this one, for instance. Let's look at this one. I'm going to zoom in on a monitor. That's fun, right? On this one, see how you can see the side art and it's light blue there? There's that one sitting out just a little bit farther on that rack. And see how on this one, it's got the whole side painted? Well, let's go look at the machine again. That's one of those middle machines. They repainted the fronts of them, but they didn't paint the whole side to touch it up. They just painted the front of it. So in that picture, it looks about like that. You can see a little bit of it sticking out. We knocked the holes back in so we could put the legs back on it. But you can see the original machine, the side art's a little beat up. But they didn't care because on the ones inside you couldn't see it. All you could see was the front. Okay? So we're working on like this machine. It's like that actual one in this picture. It's one of those middle ones. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Looks like 15 of them right next to each other. Now they're not connected together or anything. They're just all set up to play. All right, but look at the sign up above it. 22 runs wins choice, and then there's a bunch of teddy bears hanging up there on the wall. So the way they had it set up was you walked up to the machine and you started playing it. You dropped your token in. At this point, it says 1 token, blah, blah, blah. Now keep in mind, this machine was made in 1962, and this picture is in like 2002 or something like that. So these are like 40-year-old machines. On the back of this machine, there is a license tag that says 2008. So in 2008, they were still paying the license to have it on location. So this picture could be as late as 2008. Could be later. But it looks to me like probably early 2000s. So anyway, they have altered the games, because that's not how these games work. The way the games work is if you get a certain number of runs, you win a free game. But they're at the beach, so they don't want to work it like that. So they've rigged these up so that 22 runs wins your choice. Now, whenever you get your 22 runs, a teddy bear doesn't fall off the wall. You go get the attendant and say, hey, we won. And they go over and they check your score. Now look at this. Look really close at this back glass. Look to the right. It says runs and it says 0, 0. And then on the left, look how you don't see any score reels. On the other ones, you can't tell as well. On that one, you can't. I mean, you can, but there's no score reels in the left side. Now, why is that? It's because it's kind of confusing in the way they're running it. So they're running it at the beach. They've got kids that are going to come up and play it all day long and everything. If that high score thing worked, it might say 30 on it. And then a kid looks up at the wall and it says 22 wins, 22 runs wins a free prize. And they run over to the guy, hey, I got 20, look, I got 30 runs, because they don't know what they're doing. So they removed the high score reels on all of those machines. This particular one still has one in it, but whenever we got it, it was just kind of laying in there. They had pulled it away from the window. The other reel is missing. So over here, that's the only ones that had score reels. So if that got above 22, you go get the attendant, and they come and give you a free teddy bear or whatever you want off the wall. So that's just how they decided to run them at that location that this one was in. So the high score things are missing, and the it doesn't win a free game, it wins a free teddy bear. So my theory is that one of these is the replay unit. So you can't win a free game in the game because they've taken out the replay unit that stores the credits. So the only way to start the game is to drop a token in it. And they don't have it set up where you ever can win anything, because it can't even store it because they took the stepper unit out. So that's my theory. I believe that's right. Okay. Now the other thing that they did was, if you look at the schematics, there was this other little setup where this was a really interesting feature that they did on a few games back then. Just creative crap that they were all coming up with. Where it says World Series here actually lights up one letter at a time. That doesn't just illuminate. There's light back here, there's lights down here, and there's lights on the playfield. We'll show that in a minute, but or maybe on the next video. But this had this neat little feature where when you do a certain thing, I don't know what triggers it, but basically it would be all dark, and then this letter would light up after you got to a certain thing. It might be every 10 runs or whatever, I'm not sure. Or it might be every time you win a free game, the letter lights up. So that where the letter lights up, and then once it's lit up, that letter lights up. And then once it's lit up, that letter lights up, and then that letter, and then that letter. And so when you get all of them lit up down to like E, but S isn't lit up, if you do whatever it takes to light that up, you win another free game. So why would they do that? It's so you could walk up, and if it holds over from game to game. So you might play 10 games and finally get it lit up to here, and then you leave. Well, then a kid walks up, and it's lit all the way up to here. Well, if he can just get that 10 runs or whatever triggers it, it'll light that one up, and he wins a free game. So it's just a way to kind of attract you into wanting to play the game, because they had that set up. Well, at the beach, the way they were running stuff, they didn't want you to have free games. That wasn't how their business plan worked. So my theory is that stuff don't work. So that could have been, maybe that was what that one was. I don't know. Let's see. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's 9 wires here, but it's the one that can add and subtract. I would guess that this was the replay unit, and this very well may be that unit I'm talking about, because they wouldn't need to subtract anything from it. You would light that up, then that, then that, then that, then that, and light them all up, and when it got to the end, it would roll all the way around, and you'd be back to the one. That's my theory. Now, the reason that I don't believe that this is just, oh, they just stole parts off of it, is because I've got another parts board in the back that's exactly like this, missing the exact same two. And there it is. So the score motor, they have unceremoniously dumped, but you can see it's missing whatever that unit is, and it's missing whatever unit that is. So you also have this little sticker on the playfield that says, important, call attendant when score reaches 25 runs, score void if reel is red. So at first I thought they were talking about that reel, because it actually is red. But they're saying call when call when the runs are at 25, score is void if reel is red. I don't know why they did that, but for whatever reason they don't want that first zero to turn to 3. So let's look at that score reel and see what's going on there. So here are the 2 score reels. If you look at the one on our left here, that is the right one in the machine. That's the 10.0 through 9 score reel. You see, it looks normal, but this one has some kind of tape or something on it from right now the 4 up. So my theory is that was red at some point. And once you got to 40 points, the reel was red and your score was void. Now, I don't know why they would do that. Maybe, I don't know. It must have had something to do with some way that somebody was cheating. So, whatever. Also worth noting that there is a 3rd stepper unit missing. This is the one that displays how many credits you have on the game. They took it out. Okay. Now this whole thing's pretty crazy because they made a version of this game that you didn't win free games on. What were they thinking? So this is Williams' Extra Inning that came out at the exact same time as 1962 World Series came out. The same game. The only difference is you get an extra inning instead of winning a free game. So it has all the replay stuff removed. So notice there's no replay window in the middle. Right? So you can't win a free game on it. So if they would have put all of these in there, they wouldn't have had to take any of that stuff out or modify it at all. You wouldn't have been able to win a free game. You would just win a free inning if you got to a certain point. So why didn't they do that? Well, it's because these are harder to find unless you were buying them brand new. You know, in 1962, you could have ordered as many of them as you wanted, but by this is the considered like the add-a-ball version, or the other one's considered the replay version, and this is the add-a-ball or novelty version, whatever they call it. These are much more rare, so it's much harder to find these. There's probably one of these for every 30 of the other ones. So it's just if it was a few years down the road when they were setting up that little platform with all of the machines on it, they wouldn't have been able to get their hands on 15 extra innings. It would have been almost impossible to collect that many of them. So here are some of the schematics, and I have what appears to be a stepper unit called the mixer stepping unit, and it's used to help select whether it throws a fastball or curveball or a regular ball. Okay, so a mixing stepping unit. If that one's missing, it ain't gonna work right. So I got to see if we have the mixer stepping unit somewhere still in the game. All right, so here we are on the bottom of the play field, and we've got the fast relay, the pitcher relay, and the curveball relay. Now, if you don't know, we talked about this in a previous video. If this relay comes on, The game actually basically the game throws a regular speed ball at you, but sometimes it throws a fastball. Well, why does it do that? To change it up so you don't know what's coming. But it can also throw a curved ball. If that pulls in, depending on the position of that mixer unit, and they just do that to randomize it so you don't know what's coming next. If that pulls in, it curves the ball. And the way it does it is this pitching unit, we'll talk about this later, heads down to the bat, and it runs over this area here, which is actually a magnet. And the magnet goes, and it bends the path of the ball. So the pitching unit goes, magnet comes on, and it curved it so that your bat misses it. Because you didn't know the curve was coming. You thought the fastball was coming. But I don't see a mixer unit on the bottom of this playfield. And I don't see anything missing except the magnet. It could be that they took the mixing unit out because they were like, screw it, just have it throw regular fastballs all the time. Or, I mean, regular speed balls all the time. I don't know. That could be what's going on. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. What have we here? That may have been the wires that go to the magnet, actually. Okay, so we're on the hunt. All right, so looking in the back box, if you didn't see us looking at this, we did on the previous video. There's no stepper unit down there, but I've got 3 of them right here. So I have the run step-up unit. Okay. Don't know completely what that does yet, but we can kind of guess. The match unit, uh-oh, that's one of the ones I thought might be missing. At the end of the game, depending on your score, a number lights up on the back glass so you can win a free game. Okay. And then, uh-oh, that's the name step-up unit. That's the other thing I was talking about, where it lights up the letters of the, where it says Williams. Okay. We are missing. I'm not sure what we're missing, but there's also an inning thing. Innings to play. You know, you're not going to get 25 runs at bat before you get 3 outs. You're supposed to play 9 innings. So there has to be one that counts the innings as well. Could it be one of these? Huh? What do you think? And we're missing the other one we were talking about, the mixer. So we need to find the mixer and the inning, the replay, and that's the 3. So one of the good ones has to be gone. Oh, man. Oh, man, what were they doing? Okay, so on the Internet Pinball Database, they have a pretty good picture of what's supposed to be down there. So there's one of the units, the one right in the middle. That's the one with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It looks like 10 wires running to it. And then over its shoulder is the one in the corner that's missing. And it only has like 6 wires running to the board. And that's the one that just keeps moving. I'm pretty sure that's the mix unit. So look, it says mixer stepper unit, mixer stepper unit. And if you look, it has 1 wire. So this wire would connect to the edge of that board and then connect wherever it needs to connect. So 1 wire, 2 wires, 3 wires, right? 4 wires, 5 wires, 6 wires. Okay, and then it also has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 positions, and then it would reset back to the beginning. It wouldn't go this way, it would just keep moving, right? And that's how they kind of randomized it. Well, if you count very carefully between that pin and that pin, there are 10 positions. So as that spins, every 10 positions, the next pin is there, and then the next pin, and then the next pin, and so it just constantly rotates in one direction. So sure as you're born, that's that mixer unit. So why in the world would they take that out? Well, because when the pitcher relay pulls in, depending on what position that's at, it throws a different pitch. So it might throw a fastball or a curveball. I don't know if it would ever not throw that. I had another one, and sometimes it just throws at normal speed, so it could be. So it looks to me like without that, it can't throw. Well, I don't know. We're connected here. So the curveball, they took the magnet out, so it's not going to throw a curveball. Can't do that. But the fastball, when the pitcher relay goes in, that's the index. See the first base switch, second base switch, third base switch. It looks like they're using all of that to help. These mixer units are on bingo machines. The whole purpose of it is to be random. So it looks like they're using a switch on first base, second base, third base to randomize when like a curveball or something happens, for instance. So I don't know. So the thing may not be able to throw a fastball. It may just throw the same speed ball over and over again, which you wouldn't think they'd want to do because it would be a lot easier to get 22 runs or whatever they said they wanted to get. But what can I do, folks? Basically, we're trying to fix it up for the guy back to how it was at the beach. So, I mean, I could put all this stuff back in, but that's not how it was at the beach. Something to think about. And I'd have to find it, and I could find something similar. It wouldn't be too hard to do, but take a little bit of time and money. So that's one of them. So we are missing our mixer unit, and the thing is probably just going to throw one speed because of that. But we'll see. Okay, so I got to figure out what the other one is, and I got bad news there too. There is an inning stepper unit disc that has 10 wires going to it. One wiper, and then these 9, or at least 10 wires going to it. So it can tell you what inning you're on. Okay. Okay, so when you get a third out, the third out relay pulls in. Click. Sends power down through here. All right. I suppose. Reset relay. Not sure about that. Oh no, this is the cam switch. So cam on the motor. As the motor turns, that will eventually shut. And if your inning stepper unit 0 switch is connected one way or the other, if it's connected this way, you get the out step up unit reset. So it resets the out unit, right? Which we think is a little 4-ball thing. But if it goes this way, it game's over. They may have this thing set up where you get to play 3 balls, and on your third out, it's over. I don't see how in the world they were getting. People were playing a quarter for 3 freaking outs. You wouldn't think that'd be possible, but whatever. So I think that's what's missing, though. Looks like the inning stepper unit's missing to me. So we'll get into it, and we'll see if the thing even plays the way it is. Very strange. So they have tied what looks like a gray and a white and maybe a black and a white wire together. Maybe it's blue and white. Blue and white and black and white, or something to that effect. They have tied together in that area. Okay, so 29 is blue and gray. 89 is black and gray, according to the thing. So yeah, that is just connected. The inning unit has been completely removed on purpose. Looks like you play 3 balls, and if you don't get 22 home runs in 3 balls, you don't win the teddy bear. I guess that makes sense, but I don't see how they were giving away any teddy bears. Come on, people, come on now. Come on now, Myrtle Beach Pavilion. Now we know why they tore you. Come on now. Maybe I don't know, people. Come on now. You got the little kids in there, and they want the... Come on now. If the kid wants a teddy... I mean, I know it's only a quarter, but if the kid wants a teddy bear, you're asking them to do something impossible. That's not really possible. How can they get 22 runs on 3 out? Come on now. Come on, Myrtle Beach Pavilion. What are you doing? Game over. What? Come on now. That ain't right. You know, I was sitting here thinking, that out unit, remember, they didn't have the wires hooked up on the rotating bar, so that maybe that helps us. Maybe that will get it to where we play more than 3 outs. So here's one part of the out unit. And so you can see that there's a, see the little jumper? So there's a little jumper. That's the one that's 2 that I said should be connected together or whatever. So that one, as it goes across, it hits this, which would make the number match unit, step-up unit, work. But if they have this little jumper, not up there and down here, it would turn that off. Plus, they have the wire disconnected from the thing that rotates. So they did that so that the match wouldn't work, and that's why the match stepper unit is still in the game, because it's disabled. Okay, but we still have another chance that they did something to make it less screwed up. The other side of that thing also wasn't hooked up. You saw that, right? So it's the one with 1 wire on it, and it's used to it's used to light up the light. So it says out 1, out 2, or out 3, depending on where it's at. Huh. Okay, yeah, so that didn't do it. Oh, wait a minute. There's some switches on the back of the out unit. As it spins around, it opens up a switch eventually. Maybe that does it. There it is. Yeah, the out stepper unit 3rd position switch. So yeah, so when it gets to the 3rd position, it closes this switch, and that pulls in the 3rd out relay. See, the 3rd out relay. So the 3rd out relay closes when it gets there, and then the score motor turns and closes that one. And then, let's see. Oh, that one. Score motor turns. And then that's the 2 wires they tape together, so it keeps going. And all right, folks, so they disabled everything except when this goes around. When it gets to position 3, it closes the switch and ends the game. So they basically dumbed the machine way down to make it super easy to understand. Now, why would they go through all that trouble? It's because, you know, so let's say they got kids playing at the beach and they don't really know what they're doing. And you got 15 of them. Right? So maybe you're in inning 5, but maybe the bulb for inning 5 has burnt out. And the kid doesn't know that. Or maybe they get to, you know, they finish the game, but the bulbs burn out for game over or something. You know, they're just trying to make it real simple. Once you get 3 outs, the game's over. You just keep hitting the ball until you get that to say 25 and you win a teddy bear. It's a sad state whenever they have to do that. Just think what a statement that is on society, that they felt like they had to do that. Come on now. So it's been dumbed way down. You know, it might be a good idea to add that inning one back in. Maybe not the mixer one. I don't know. If it was mine, I'd probably add both of them back in, but I don't know if I want to do all that much work on the guy's game. Well, I guess we'll have to ask him, see what he thinks. So I think what I'll do is I'll get it working the way they had it working, and then if I'm feeling froggy, I might try to put those 2 stepper units back in. They don't have to necessarily be a stepper unit out of this game. You could get them out of another game. It would just have to be a Williams, basically. To be honest, you could probably make one from a Bally work, but a Williams would be better, obviously. Because you just need to make sure that you get the wires in the right spot. And there it is. Okay, so we've done basically all we can do on here. I kind of wish I could figure out the wire, though, that makes the light up. The 1, 2, 3 light up. It's one of... I think it connects to here. But I don't know which wire it would be. But maybe we can figure that out. So, or maybe that connects to ground or something. There's nothing on the back of that. So that's where we're at. All right, but I think we're done with this. Let me go ahead and slide it back in there where it goes. And maybe I clean these Jones plugs and plug them in. And we plug the game in the wall and see if anything lights up. What do you think? All right, folks, I plugged it back in. I put the board back in it. Let's hit the power switch and see if anything happens. We can get our focus back. Boy, she's trying. She wants to come back. They probably don't like being in a warehouse, you know. All right, so we kind of figured out what's missing. We got an understanding of it now. Kind of understand what they took out, and I kind of understand why they took it out. You might not completely agree with it, but it is what it is. So here is one of the places. I suppose the last place that it was. The Garden City Pavilion. Okay. The back glass isn't all that bad, really. Not the end of the world. By the way, the lights that are blinking, those are blinking bulbs. They did that on purpose. So, yeah. And also, we showed on the previous video, there's supposed to be a light back there. They'll light that up. As a matter of fact, let me go grab one, just so I don't have to keep putting a flashlight up in there. All right. She's starting to come back. Look at that. Incandescence. If it ain't orange, I ain't happy. I love it. We're missing the scenery back there, but we'll see if we can figure that out too. So there you go. So that's we've worked through it. Like I said, we kind of serviced what we wanted to down here. We kind of understand why there's 2 steppers units missing now. We kind of understand that it will work without them, but it would be better if it had them. We understand why the replay unit's missing. We understand why one of the high score units is missing. Just an interesting old game. So there we go. So next time we will work in the back box a little bit, and maybe slide the playfield in it and see if it'll start a game. That'd be cool. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed it. I had fun working on it. Cool little game. Cool big game. Make sure to give us a thumbs up for taking the trouble to film it for you. We didn't have to film all this, people. We're doing this out of the kindness of our heart. And what a big heart it is. You know what I like about me most is my modesty. So, leave your comments below. Let us know what you think. Do you remember playing these at the beach? Do you remember how it was set up? Was it really set up that you only got 3 balls and then it... Oh, look, the light does work. I must have misunderstood the circuit. Let me see if I can reset that. That must have tried to start a game when I did that. All right, yeah, so the light does work, so they didn't disable that. All right, so there we go. But the innings, I don't think it can work, because there's no inning step-up unit. So leave your comments below, like I was saying. And people, if you want to support our channel, you know how you can do that? It's real easy. Don't send us money. We don't want you to send us money. It's your hard-earned money. Keep your money. We don't need it. We've got a business here. We're making money in our business. You don't think our business is making goofy videos on YouTube, do you? Come on now. Come on, people. If you want to support us in a way that won't cost you anything, which we like. We don't want it to cost you anything. if you want to support us, what you can do is if you find yourself where you're going to buy anything on Amazon, Amazon has this program called the Amazon Associates program. So if you sign up for that, which we have, you don't have to, but we did. We are an Amazon associate. So that means that we are advertising for Amazon by simply putting their link down below our videos. Now, if you go to our website, go to lionsarcade.com, on our parts page, we also have a bunch of links to products that we use in our repair videos and things like that. And those links also take you to Amazon. If you follow any of those links to Amazon, once you're there, they know that we sent you. So let's say you go to Amazon and you click our link and you're going to buy a soldering iron or something like off of our website, right? But then you look at it and you go, you know what? I don't even think this is a very good soldering iron. I don't want it. But I need a new t-shirt. I want a t-shirt that says, keep it clean with Al Jardine on it. So you search for that on Amazon and you find your Keep It Clean with Al Jardine shirt and you buy it. They still give us a tip because we sent you to Amazon. Remember, that's how you got there in the first place. So that's how it works. So people have been bookmarking one of our links and using it to go to Amazon every time they buy something, and it gives us a tip. It's a different percentage depending on what you buy. We don't like really telling people the exact percentages because then you might buy a certain thing that you normally wouldn't, or you might not buy this or whatever. You know, so we don't want to change your behavior. Just do whatever you normally do. But it pays us an average of about 3%, maybe a little more even, depending on whatever you buy. So we appreciate everybody that's been doing that. And last but not least, don't forget to check out my brother Donnie. My brother has his own channel here on YouTube, the My Brother Donnie channel. What a great name. Whoever thought up that name's a genius, and very modest. So check out the My Brother Donnie channel. We're working on old arcade games, pinball machines, jukebox. My brother Donnie is working on old mobile homes, old vehicles, old buildings, things like that. A fun time is had by all. I'm usually over there on the channel with them. We play around a little bit and have a good time, film some videos. So make sure to check that out. I will see you on that channel, but I'll see you in about 2 days. I always upload these sequentially, where we'll work on the next part of this video, of this great machine. So in 2 days, we'll tear into this back box. I'll see you then.